So welcome friends, how are you all? What if Naruto was trapped in a new world and embraced his Uzumaki legacy? Movie. Two figures battle in what was once one of Hai no Kuni's lush forests. Now all that remains is a dusty and desolate wasteland, with only the charred and broken husks of what used to be trees to show any hint of what this area was before the battle began. But today finally this war will end, one way or another. Tell me, child of prophecy, why do you oppose me? The shorter of the two men questions. This man has long waist-length black hair, wearing rust-colored samurai-like armor that is littered with many scratches, dents and cracks, and is even missing the right soda. Completely. Underneath that, his black robes and shinobi pants are covered with cuts and tears, and stained with blood not all his own. In fact, the only thing of his that looks to be in any decent condition is his gunbai. Why? You really have to ask why. Why I would fight against you, why I would stand against your mad plan, why I don't want humanity to die. Are you stupid or something, Madara? This figure responds in anger. He, like the now named Madara, is not in the best shape, his sage coat sporting many tears and missing its sleeves and soaked with blood, his Ambu-style armor cracked and broken, his pants torn up with a few holes along the leg, his normally spiky golden blonde hair lay flat against his head caked with blood, his fierce blue eyes focused on his opponent. Again, like Madara, his weapon a flaming whip that is reminiscent of a fox, with its tail being the thong now covered with blue fire.
What are you blathering about, Jinchuriki? Madara asks, his confusion apparent in his cold voice.
What do you mean, what am I blathering about? The bloody blonde shouts, using his left hand to point at the Uchiha. I'm talking about the Tasuki no Mi plan. It will kill everyone. He finishes yelling, his right hand along with the whip partially concealed by his back as he turns to point. Madara, angered by his scheme being questioned and tired from a week-long fight, doesn't notice his foe's movements as he responds. The Tasuki no Mi will stop all wars. It is the only way to peace. Peace of the grave maybe, but not true peace. He yells, in an attempt to continue to distract Madara. Just stay there, just a little longer. What do you mean, peace of the grave? The plan won't kill anyone, it will Jew. Now. Crack! Suddenly 9 flaming ropes appear from the ground beneath Madara, burning his flesh and binding his limbs, and with a mighty pull upon the handle, Naruto sends the ancient Uchiha flying towards him at high speeds. Poof, and in a puff of smoke the whip is replaced with a kanabo that looks like a demonic beehive. And as the 100-year-old clan leader reaches him, he brings the club down in a mighty swing, slamming him into the earth. As the demon club hits Madara, some of the bulbs fall off but are quickly replaced. The bulbs that fell start floating in the air, letting out a buzzing sound and sparking with electricity. Behaving like angry hornets, and just like hornets they seek out the closest thread to the hive, to get rid of it. Unfortunately for Madara, that's him. And with each swing of the kanabo, Naruto pounds Madara into the ground again and again, over and over, kicking up more dust each time until he has to stop after he covers the entire area with dust. As the dust cloud clears, Naruto looked down to see a bunch of splinters in a small crater. Damn it, Kawarimi! Naruto, immediately on guard, searches for his enemy. Kaden. Gokakyu no Jutsu, too, but he is not quick enough. The fireball crashes down upon the very spot he was standing. Was, being the key word here. Now if I hurry I can extract the Kyuubi before the Gaki's completely dead. Madara mutters to himself. Looking at spot where the fireball hit, he sees nothing but scorched earth and the burnt remains of the log he substituted himself with. Sensing someone behind him, he spins around, slashing with the scythe end of the gunbai, making a deep cut into Naruto's chest. Naruto looks down at the wound before looking back up, smirking. He says one word, boom. And then he explodes, revealing himself to be an exploding clone. Madara, blocking the attack with his fan, manages to avoid most of the damage. However, this left him open for the other Naruto clone behind, wearing a set of gauntlets and greaves both glowing with bright white light. The golden-haired clone hits the Uchiha with an uppercut, sending him into the air, where he is quickly surrounded by 5 other copies. Each one begins striking him repeatedly, doing more and more damage to the madman, until finally culminating a dive kick, sending the black-haired man to the ground. How do y'all like that, Madara? I call it Uzumaki Beowulf Renden. 3. The Uzumaki calls out to prone figure in a mocking voice, until said prone figure goes up in a puff of smoke. Kage Bunshin. But that's my thing. Madara, you copycat bastard, get out here, he yells out.
As you wish, a voice behind him says. Naruto turns around quickly, only to receive a punch to that gut that sends him fly a good few dozen feet. As he's flying, he thinks, no matter how many times I get hit, I'd still prefer Ba-chan's punches, at least they're softer. As he starts to slow down, Madara appears in his flight path using Kamui, and sends him flying at the other direction using his war fan.
I believe it's time to end this farce, Jinchuriki. Madara says, his voice carrying over the ruined battlefield, as he starts walking towards the downed hero, keeping alert for any more tricks. Damn it. Get up. Move, you stupid body. Move. Naruto's thoughts race, attempting to move some part. Any part of his body, but only managing a few small twitches. It's high time this battle comes to an end, Madara states, getting closer and closer still. Get up, don't let their sacrifices be in vain. Images flash through his head, a silver-haired man, a young man with a large dog and fang tattoos, another wearing a large coat covering his form, two people wearing green spandex, a pink-haired girl and someone with his hair in the style of a duck's rear end, and a young woman with long blue hair and lavender eyes, along with countless others. Why don't you do something good for the world, Jinchuriki, and give up? The Uchiha asks, as he reaches the mouth of the crater. Give up. He really just wants me to give up, he thinks in rage, hate coursing through his very being, fury making his blood like magma. No, I won't give up, I refuse to give up, I don't care if I die too, I'll at least take him with me to hell. And just like that, something in Naruto broke, his anger that has reached new heights along with his raw determination and his refusal to let this madman continue and hurt any more of his precious people or threaten the world. Unlocking something within him, dark orange energy begins pulsing off of him. His wounds begin healing a rapid rate, allowing him to push himself up to his knees. Madara, seeing this, can only wonder what's going on. This power, is this the Kyuubi? No matter, he'll be dead soon enough. As he gets closer, the strange energy pulses faster and faster. Odd rings of energy covered with ruins begin to rotate around Naruto, until the whole thing stops completely. It was nothing, a wasted gambit by a dying man. Madara thinks, sure that he is right. Lifting the blade end of his gunbai, he prepares to bring it down, to end this fight. As he brings the blade down, it stops. Look at what caused it to stop, he sees. Well, he doesn't know what sees. His opponent seems to have been replaced by what looks to be a demon of some sort. Its skin is obsidian black, covered in chitinous armor colored. Burnt orange, piercing red eyes that glow like the fires of hell. It's covered in what looks like fox bones, and it has spiky white hair. It has two sets of wings, one being large black and orange wings that are easily 5 feet long just below its shoulder blades, and another much smaller pair at its lower back just above its tailbone. Speaking of its tailbone, it has a tail that is at least 4 feet long, also covered with bone-like armor. The hands end in inch-long claws. Its feet have claws on the end of each toe. Overall, it's an intimidating sight. What the hell is this? Madara asks, fear evident in his voice, as he strains to free his weapon from the demon's grip. The demon says 2 words, his voice deep and dark, devil trigger. Its right hand still clenched around his foe's blade, yet not drawing blood. He pulls his left hand back in preparation of a punch. Madara, his mind clouded with fear and busy trying to free his weapon, does not notice. Naruto sends the punch flying, nailing the 100-year-old clan leader right in the chest, sending him sailing, losing his weapon in the process. Madara, landing a good 30 meters away, struggles to get up his chest armor, finally having enough breaks, and falls away. That was a good hit, Jinchuriki, but that was the last time you'll hit me. He states proudly, his arrogance overcoming his fear. Susanoo! Madara calls out, a large ethereal body forming around him. Naruto, now back in his human form, his devil trigger having only lasted for a moment, is busy looking over his new weapon, doesn't notice until the body is finished forming. Sealing away the gunbai and unsealing a different weapon, he starts running at Madara. Madara, seeing this as his chance to win, starts firing his Susanoo's Yasaka Magatama at Naruto. Naruto, having expected this, dodges them rather easily. The Uchiha, seeing this, starts fire more Magatama, barely missing each time, kicking up more dust with each miss. Once the dust cloud is large enough, Naruto, now hiding in it, blurs out of existence for a moment before reappearing behind Madara's Susanoo. Swinging the blade, he cuts a hole into the chakra construct, allowing him to run in. Charging at Madara, Naruto slashes at Madara in an attempt to bisect him. The sword is stopped by a kunai Madara drew in defense. That's a nice sword you have there, the Sharingan wielder says, admiring the blade. Y'all like it, it's called Yamato, it's said to be able to cut through anything. Naruto replies proudly, as if to emphasize his point the kunai Madara is using to defend himself with is cut in half the very moment he finishes saying this. Madara quickly uses Kamui in order to allow the blade to pass through him in an attempt to avoid the damage, even dimensions. Naruto finishes saying, smirking all the while. Madara's attempt at avoiding the damage fails, causing him to take the attack head on, getting dealt a fatal blow. Well done, Uzumaki. You hack. May have won but I'm afraid you won't get a chance to celebrate your hack victory. Kamui. Madara uttering his final words, with difficulty due to the deadly chest wound, using one last technique to rob Naruto of his victory. Madara uses Kamui to teleport Naruto to his personal pocket dimension, in a last desperate attempt to kill his opponent, by trapping him in the void between worlds. Naruto, hearing Madara finish his sentence, tries to get away, but is too late, feeling a strange pulling sensation and some vertigo. Naruto disappears in a swirling distortion of space and time, leaving Madara alone to bleed out. X, 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 X Kamui dimension, unknown time later, X. What hit me? The surviving half-devil wonders. Oh yeah, Madara's Kamui. Who knew he was such a sore loser? Pushing himself off the ground, if you can even call it that, he shakes off his grogginess and stretches his arms and back to get the kinks out of it. Sitting cross-legged, he looks around trying to figure out where he is. Let's see, unending darkness, check. Complete isolation, check. And a whole lot of giant crumbling rectangles, check. Pretty sure that last one is not a good thing. Deciding to seek advice from his furry friend, he turns his thoughts inwards and asks for help. Oi, Kurama, wake your fuzzy butt up, in the most respectful way he can manage. What do ya want, Kit? I was in the middle of something. The annoyed voice of his tenant rings through Naruto's head. In the middle of what? What can you really do in there? The blonde asks, confused and trying to figure out what his constant companion was doing. If you must know, I was having a wonderful dream where I was eviscerating Madara. Kurama replies, still a little sleepy from being just woken up. Oh. Well, you should have been awake, because I just did that. Naruto states in an offhand manner, with a grin on his face. That's nice. Now what do you? Wait, what? The Kyuubi roars in anger. You mean to tell me you were beating the crap out that pink-eyed bastard, and you didn't wake me up? No, of course not. I was killing that pink-eyed bastard, and I didn't wake you up. The blonde answers, a cheeky grin on his face. That doesn't make it better, Naruto. The colossal fox deadpans, its eye twitching. Get over it, you big baby, you can watch my memories of it later, says Naruto, reminding him of that fact. I guess. Sigh now, what do you need, Gaki? The chakra demon accepting that, and choosing to let that big baby thing go. For now, tries to get their conversation back on track. Naruto begins explaining the situation. Well, I seem to be stuck in Madara's Kamui dimension. That's falling apart. The fox pipes in, interrupting him. That's falling apart. Naruto, nodding in agreement, doesn't quite get what just said for a moment, until, what do you mean this place is falling apart? He yells out loud in shock, not really understanding what the fox just said. I mean, this place is falling apart. Look around you, everything is crumbling and it looks to be getting darker. Kurama answers, and sure enough, most of the strange rectangles are either falling to pieces or just dropping into the nothingness below. Well, how do we get out of here? Naruto asks, too stressed to talk telepathically, and settling for just yelling into the yawning maw of emptiness that the dimension is quickly becoming. Well, I don't know, if only you had something that can cut through dimensions. The giant fox replies in a sarcastic way. Geez, no need to be an ass. Naruto mutters in annoyance, pick up Yamato and preparing to cut through reality. Naruto, just get us out of here, I'd rather not spend the rest of my eternal life in the void between worlds. The Kyuubi grounds out. Sigh. Fine. The blonde swordsman says, cutting open a hole to another world and jumping trough. Last time, on Naruto, a devil hunter in DC. X unknown location, unknown time later, X. Looking around, all Naruto can say is, where the hell are we? Now back to Naruto, a devil hunter in DC. X, 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 X. Kurama, looking through his host's eyes, chooses this moment to answer, well, from the looks of things you seem to be in the alley of some sort of large village. That kinda reminds me of what AIM would look like, you know, if it wasn't a crater right now, and you seem to be about 20 feet in the air. What do you Maya? The rest of his sentence was cut off by a yelp as he fell. Luckily or unluckily, depending on your point of view, he landed safely in a dumpster. Bewif asterisk haha yaha. Kurama, finding this hilarious, laughs uproariously, only managing to say a few words before he falls back into peals of laughter. Kit, that. Snicker. That was. Haha, wonderful. Hell, I might watch this more than Madara's death. Glad you find me almost breaking my neck, so funny, furball. Naruto mutters in annoyance, climbing out of the dumpster, and picking garbage off of himself. Geez, Naruto, don't be such a wimp, it would take a fall at least 5 times that amount to do any real damage to you. The fox says, his laughter having died down. Yeah, I guess you're the blonde begins to say until he hears something, turning to the direction of the noise, which is deeper near the back of this apparently L-shaped alleyway. He sees a small group of people, maybe 3 or 4, all huddled around one person. Walking closer to the group, Naruto tries to figure out what's going on. X, 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 X back of the alley, 30 seconds ago, X. Now then, just give us your wallet and you're free to go. A short middle-aged man demands. Holding a small handgun, he stands at just over 5 feet, wearing a blue and white jacket, and a pair of beige khaki pants. He has greasy skin and a weasel-like face. Beside him are two much larger men, each standing at around 6'8", muscle-bound, wearing jeans and wife beaters, holding a baseball bat and a crowbar, all in all your typical thugs. Before their victim can do anything, a cocky voice calls out. "Oi! What are you picking on him for? Don't you know that it's impolite?" Naruto asks them in a mocking tone, walking closer to the muggers, stopping roughly 20 feet away. The victim, seeing the thugs distracted by the new arrival, thinking that this is his chance to get away, runs towards the mouth of the alley and away. Seeing their target get away and too late to stop it, the short weasel-like man turns back to our hero, shouting at him in anger, says, "Hey you idiot, look what you gone and did, now you're gonna have to pay for that." Naruto, finding this amusing, pretends to look for some money, checking the inside of his torn-up coat, patting down his pants, as if looking for his wallet. Finding nothing, he lifts up his hands, shrugging, and cocking his head, and tells his would-be robbers, "Sorry, I don't seem to have my wallet on me. Must have left it in my other pants." He remarks, a grin on his face, his eyes squinted shut, all that combined with his whisker marks, giving him a rather fox-like appearance. "Well, now that just too bad." The greased-up weasel of a man comments with a malicious smirk, before aiming his gun and shooting Naruto in the head. Bang! The bullet hits Naruto, sending his head back. His body falls back, hitting the ground with a thud. "Hurry up and get his corpse. We might be able to sell his organs or something, but that shot might have attracted the fuzz." The short man orders his two lackeys. As they begin to move forward, they stop, the two thugs pausing in front of their boss. "Hey! Who said you could stop? Grab the blonde idiot's body and let's go." Shorty yells at the thugs in anger, nervous of the cops catching them, or mainly him. The greasy weasel's tirade is cut off by a groan. *Uck. "Do you know how much getting shot in the head hurts?" The newly revived blonde asks, picking himself off the ground and dusting off what remains of his coat, and wiping the blood of his forehead to show clear, untouched skin, as if the bullet never even hit it. "What? Buut your s sup psosed to be dead, how are you alive?" the now cowering man asks, barely controlling his stutter. "No, I guess you don't. How about I show you?" Naruto continues, not paying the terrified trio any attention. 2 puffs of smoke later, and there are 2 guns in his hand. Both based on his ancestors' old guns, ebony and ivory, and made using some blueprints he found in a vault in Uzu. These 2 are Paradise and Perdition. Paradise in his right hand and Perdition in his left. Paradise is based on ivory, pure white with golden scroll work upon the slide, and the image of a golden gate on the grip. The gun is modified to fire bullets made out of both chakra and demonic energy, along with normal rounds. Hell, he even placed seals and runic magic on the gun to give it special abilities, along with making it reload automatically. Where Paradise is based on ivory, Perdition is based on ebony, much the same with the upgrades, colored solid black. The gun has tarnished gray ruins on the slide. On the grip is a picture of a broken and demonic-looking gate. Aiming Paradise at the man who shot him, Naruto fires, hitting the short man in the head, killing him. "Now then, on to you two." The thugs, hearing this do something stupid, they charge at him. Naruto merely aims both guns at their head and shoots 2 more bullets. These, however, are made of chakra and low-powered, so they only knock the duo out. Now then, all that's left is to alter their memories a little, and then we can be on our way. Sealing his guns away, he walks over to the unconscious thugs. He does some hand signs. Finishing up, he mutters Shifuto Yumi no Jutsu 1. Under his breath, he puts his hand on their heads, changing their memories of the last few minutes as to not involve him. Letting go of their heads and taking their wallets. "Hey, I am a ninja," he thinks to himself. He turns and runs up the wall of the alley and onto the roof before beginning to roof jump away from the crime scene, looking for a quiet place to take stock and plan. X abandoned warehouse. 4 hours later, 8:45 p.m. X. After 3 hours of searching, finding a place, sending another hour putting up various seal, like a perimeter alarm, a detection preventing seal, and a few others, he sits down on an old crate that was left there, to think about what he's learned so far. First, as it turns out, he definitely is in another world, and they don't normally speak his language. Heck, the only reason he could speak with and understand what the thugs were saying was because he apparently landed in a place called Little Kyoto. He learned this by trying to listen to other people and found he couldn't understand them. Not knowing why, he decided to ask someone he could understand, so a henge and a couple questions later learned a few things. Like where he is. Evidently he's in a place called Bay City, Washington, in a country called America. Bay City is a few miles south of a villa. No. City. Yes, city called Seattle, and the people here speak a language called English. Gonna have to learn that, and quick. And this place is a lot more advanced than the elemental nations is. was because they have things like cars that allow civilians to move as fast as a trained shinobi. That's another thing, there are only civilians here, no ninja. Well, that might not be true, there are a few people here that seem like they are pretty strong, like that Superman guy people were talking about, or this Batman person he heard about, although Batman seems more ninja-like than Superman. But back on track, they also have computers, and a lot of them too, and much more advanced than what he saw in Konoha before the war really got started. So after careful consideration and great thought on the matter, he can safely say one thing: I am way out of my depth here, his head falling forward in slight depression.
Sai Sokurama, any advice? Perking back up, he asks his friend, sure that his pal will know what to do.
Snore. Up. Rabbits snore. Or not, seeing as his fuzzy buddy is asleep. So I guess I'm on my own for right now, he says, eye twitching in annoyance. So what do I need to do? He ponders, thinking hard on his next action. Well, I have some clothes and rations stored in ceiling scrolls, so those things aren't really a priority right now. The wallets that I scavenged had a few $100s in them, so that might hold me until I can get a job, if I'm careful. So first I need to work on learning this new language, happy that he has decided a good first step. Then I need to get some records and some sort of identification, no idea how I'm going to do that. Yet, a bit depressed by this fact, he moves on. Finally I need to get a job, and place to live that's not an abandoned building. After deciding to get started on this tomorrow, he begins to turn in for the night. Walking over to a clear area of the floor, he unseals a sleeping and gets ready for bed. A few moments later, ready for bed, he lays down to sleep, drifting off quickly. It has been a long 3 months since he has arrived in this new world, what with learning a whole new language, creating a new identity and finding both a job and a place to live. The language part was easy enough, with a few dozen kage bunshin each night after the library closed up. With that, he also a good bit of history and general knowledge of the world he, quite literally, dropped into. Along with history, facts and other such things from the books, he's also found one of his new favorite things ever: the internet. Thanks to the computers at the library, he found it, and fell in love with it, the old TV shows, the video games, the memes and so much more. With these, his tried and true battle tactic of piss your opponent off to no end, has gotten a not needed, but very much welcomed upgrade. The identity part, well, there's not much he could do there, the best he can do is hope it never comes up. And the job and housing, well, dishwashing ain't such a bad job, right? And the abandoned warehouse isn't that bad place to live. His apartment, when the people of Konoha still hated him, was much worse. Right now, however, he's preparing to enjoy a bowl of ramen at a nice little place he found a month after he arrived here. This place actually reminds him a lot of Ichiraku's, except that it's an actual restaurant and not a bar. It's called Tanaka's and it's rather close to the portal he made to come here. Yano, now that I think about it, did I ever close that portal? Naruto wonders, bringing a bit of ramen noodles up to his mouth to eat. Asterisk schlick asterisk, only to stop when a side's blade pierces through his chest. Evidently not, he says, as if a blade didn't just puncture his chest. Glancing behind himself, he see what looks to be a small grim reaper-like demon, its body like a dried corpse and 2 large spikes sticking out its back, its skin an unnatural gray color, wearing black cloak with strange designs along the edges and leather bindings on its legs and feet, with beady red eyes, and holding a large scythe, which is currently piercing Naruto's chest. Placing the noodles back into the bowl, and putting down his chopsticks, Naruto stands up and turns around, unmindful of the blade sticking through his chest, taking a step forward away from the bar. Walking across the room, he idly notices that the other patrons are beginning to flee the building. Having reached his destination, a jukebox, and having been attacked many more times along the way, with scythe blades going through even more parts of his body with demons hanging of them. Pressing a series of buttons on the music player to select a song, "Let's get this party started," Naruto yells, as the music begins to play. Play Dante 7 Hell's Office Battle. Quickly turning, pulling the blade out of his chest, he uses it as a shuriken, decapitating 3 demons that were standing in a line, roundhouse kicking a hell pride that leaps at him before it can bring its weapon down. Continuing forward into the middle of the room, getting rid of the blades by pulling them out and using them as shuriken. After he removes the last one, he activates a storage seal, changing his clothes from the t-shirt and jeans with sneakers he was wearing into his combat attire, a long burnt orange coat, 2-tailed with flames along the bottom reaching down to below his knees, 2 buckles going over the Anbu-style vest underneath, high-collared going up to about an inch below his chin, long sleeves rolled up to his elbows, an Uzumaki whirlpool on each shoulder in white, pockets and slots on the inside for scrolls and other things. On his hands are black leather gloves with steel plate on the back. His shirt under it is a black long-sleeve shinobi shirt, a strange mix of cotton, Kevlar and a few other fabrics. Underneath that is a steel mesh armor with leather plates in key locations. His pants are standard shinobi pants, with a cup added, For just in case, just in a cargo pants style, made of the same material as his shirt. A holster for paradise and perdition sits on his waist, hidden by the coat, his 2 guns currently in place. His standard ninja sandals swapped out for a pair of black steel-toed boots, and everything is covered in seals. Yep, I look awesome, Naruto remarks, looking himself over. Kid, quit checking yourself out and kill those things, Kurama yells at his host, to get him back to the matter at hand. Fine, whatever. He answers in an uncaring manner, narrowly dodging a slash from one of the demons, before disarming it and using its own weapon to kill it by impaling it on the blade. After it dissolves into sand, he swings the newly acquired scythe in a wide arc to slay 5 more in front of him. Spinning the scythe back around, hooking a demon that tried to sneak up behind him on it, he uses the scythe as a club, using the hooked demon to bash its friends to death before it turns to sand, throwing the away, killing 5 more hell prides in the process. Pulling out paradise and perdition, he starts shooting demons left and right, killing them before they can even get within 5 feet of him. Come on, at least try to make it hard, Naruto yells out to the group of demons still surrounding him, a cocky grin on his face. Shatter! All of a sudden a sound like shattering glass is heard. The demons stop momentarily. Hell, even Naruto stops, feeling a slightly stronger demonic presence, nowhere near his own, but still stronger than the hell prides. Pausing a moment, still absorbing the energy from the fallen demons, Naruto waits for the new arrival. It appears, its body like a dark mist, much larger than the hell prides, standing at about 7 feet. Holding a scythe just as tall as it is, just like the others, except that this weapon's blade is made out of some sort of purple and blue energy. Its body is much like the smaller demons, but with eerie blue eyes instead of red.
Well, come on, I don't fear the Reaper, shouts the blonde, waving his guns in a "bring it" gesture. The creature lets out a screech before disappearing into the ground, with the floor rippling like water. Naruto back flipping to avoid the Hell Vanguard's swing. As it reappears, bring the blade up to cut the half-devil in 2. Said half-devil opens fire with his dual handguns, but the strikes are blocked by the handle of the scythe. Landing, Naruto quickly thinks, I could use perdition's special ability, but I'd rather not risk bringing the roof down on my head, so. Dodging the monster's attacks while holstering his guns, he unseals a sword. His sword, forged by the combined skill of himself, and Edo Tensei Kushina, and Tetsu no Kuni's best surviving blacksmith, is his pride and joy. Lu. A Dao with a 3-foot-long curved black blade. The blade's width is 4 inches, white on the single edge, with white runes going down the middle of the blade. Its silver guard in the shape of a whirlpool, bright red fabric along the curved handle ending in a silver pommel with a white Uzumaki crest on each side. Dante had Rebellion, Virgil had Yamato, hell, even his mother had Benihime, he has Lu. Kicking off the ground, he charges the Reaper, aiming a slash at its chest. The demon brings its weapon down to block. Naruto momentarily locks blades with it before spinning around it to strike at its back. After a quick combo of slashes, the Hell Vanguard teleports away again, this time appearing across the room, to charge at Naruto. The blonde, seeing this, jumps over the slash, before countering with a few of his own before it disappears again. This time appearing above Naruto in an attempt to bisect him, Naruto quickly dodges away, killing the few Hell Prides left in the room after the rest fled when the new enemy appeared, all the while dodging its constant teleporting attacks. Parrying a slash from the demon, knocking it back. When it's off balance, Naruto jumps back, creating 5 cage bunshin and has them surround the demon as they charge their swords with demonic energy. After they have it encircled, they then swing their blades, releasing the stored up power in an arc along the ground. Wounded and unable to dodge all the strikes, the demon is cut to pieces. Well then, now that that's over, he says, walking back to his bowl of ramen, that was miraculously remained unharmed. Just as he get there, however, a Hell Pride appears above it, knocking the bowl over, spilling the ramen. Naruto stares in shock, his face calm, his features blank. He sheaths his sword, calmly pulling perdition from its holster. Activating its enchantments and charging it with a mix of chakra and demon energy, he mechanically lines up a shot, then fires, unleashing a 10-foot wide beam of energy that obliterates the demon, and everything behind it. Kid, don't you think that was a bit overkill? The blonde's inner demon asks. Walking outside through the hole in the wall, Naruto replies in a serious tone, he messed with my ramen. Nobody messes with my ramen. Looking around, he sees that everything is dead silent. Feeling uneasy, Naruto activates Sage Mode, hoping his fears aren't confirmed. Going into Sage Mode, he scans the city, trying to see how bad it is. Kurama, are you seeing this? He asks in a shocked tone. Yeah kid, I am. The fox replies in a somber voice. The city's in complete chaos. There are demons everywhere. His negative emotion sensing ability along with the enhanced sensing range off Sage Mode is going crazy. Fear, panic, anger,
sadness, and death. So much death. Dropping to his knees, only one thought is running through his head right now. This is my fault. All of this is my fault. He repeats, again and again in his head, each repetition only serving to make his despair worse. Kit. Kurama tries to gently break him out of his stupor, my fault. But it doesn't seem to work, so he tries again, this time a bit harsher, Kit. But this doesn't work either, so putting his all into the next one. Naruto. Snap out of it, the fox roars, shaking the entire mindscape. But Kurama, this is my fault, I forgot to close the portal. People are dying because of this, Naruto says, finally regaining his senses. Kurama, in a much gentler tone, yes they are, and yes it is, but whining about it won't solve anything. The only thing you can do now is try to stop any more people from dying. And you can't do that if you're busy crying like a little bitch, so, get off you ass and do what you do best, kill demons and save lives. His pep talk ending in a shout. You're right. The blonde Uzumaki replies, some life finding its way back into his eyes. Damn straight I am. The chakra beast answers, as if stating a simple fact of the world. Standing up straight, the blonde mutters to himself, well then, no time to wait. Then calls out at the top of his lungs, fingers in a cross sign, Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Suddenly the area is filled with copies of the blonde demon slayer, filling the street, standing on top of buildings, the walls of said buildings, there must be hundreds of the thousands even. Oi, everybody pay attention. He calls out to the orange horde, gaining their complete and undivided attention. Things are bad and they're only going to get worse. That is unless we do something, so with that in mind, I need all of you to start splitting into group, some of you on search and rescue, others taking out the large groups of lesser demons, and finally setting up safe locations for the search and rescue clones to bring people. He orders the clones. Their response is a deafening chorus of, hi, before jumping off to complete their creator's orders. Now then, time to deal with the ones in charge of this whole mess. He mutters, sprinting off in the direction of the base city docks, and the closest high-level demon. X 20 minutes, and a whole heck of a lot of lesser demons later, X. Walking through one of the warehouses, this one containing massive amounts of fish, Yano, Manabe would love this place. Naruto remarks, while putting a bullet through fly-like demons, one head. You're probably right about that. A sweat-dropping Kurama agrees, on your left. Before pointing out a demon hiding in the corner, waiting to sneak attack the fox's host. Using Lu, he sends out a wave of energy to kill it, thanks. He mutters, walking outside, looking around he sees a large crane, most likely there to get shipping containers off the boats as they come in. Looking left and right he can see a long row of docks, and warehouses just like the one he exited from. Along with a lot of boxes and crates, with forklifts and other such things, everything said, it looks just like any other shipping dock at night. As he walks onto the pier he smells a strange scent. Hey Kurama, do you smell fish? He asks his tenant, as he walks further onto the pier. Well, we did just walk out of a warehouse that was filled with fish. The fox replies, in a way that makes it clear that he thinks his host is an idiot. Standing at the end of the dock looking out to the water, Naruto adds, no, I mean something bigger, and this has a more demonic hint to it sorta like. He stops, having to jump back about 30 feet or get swallowed whole. Pointing at colossal serpentine creature, Naruto finishes his sentence, like that, and me without any wasabi. He shakes his head in mock sadness. Tell me what you are doing in my territory, mortal. The giant sea dragon demanded, moving its large head closer to Naruto, giving the blonde half-devil a chance to see its many rows of large and very sharp teeth. In fact, its entire head was vaguely shark-like. Me? The Jinchuriki asks, pointing at himself. Well, you see, I wanted to take a walk by the water. But now that I'm here, I think I'll go fishing. He answers, smirking at the end while bringing his blade up, and slipping into his sword stance. Insolent human. You dare threaten me, Leviathan, Lord of the Sea, Terror of the Deep, he who... The sea monster's rant was cut off by the blonde. Goes really well with tartar sauce. Enraged, the large demon tries to shut the half-devil up by eating him, only to bite into an oil barrel instead. I love kawarimi. Kaiten. Enden. Sending a flaming bullet at the spilled oil, setting it alight, and burning the sea monster's mouth. Seeing that the damage is minimal at best, he summons a few clones and sets them to work, 6 of them placing explosive seals on shipping containers, 2 to follow him, and the last 2 getting into the cranes nearby. Swapping his sword for a set of black and brown gauntlets, these have 4 ox-like horns on it that spark with electricity. Using the gauntlets, the Narutos send a bunch of ball lightning flying towards the large sea demon, only for it to barely scorch the thing's scales, let alone do any real damage. Well, crap. Seeing that barrage of lighting isn't working, he decides to go with plan B. Alright guys, time for plan B, railgun formation. The clones move in front of him, with him in between them in a triangle. One clone's ripping one of the lampposts from the ground. They then send it flying by using the 3 sets of gauntlets, boring into the tough hide of Leviathan and jutting out. Repeating the pattern of find metallic pole-like object, fire said object at angry sea beast, dodge the angry sea beast's attack. Repeat. Naruto finally gets the signal that his clones have finished setup for step 2 of the plan. Boss, we're ready. The clones telepathically inform their creator. Got it, begin PHASE-2. The original orders. As Leviathan opens his mouth to fire another blast of high-pressure water, he's stopped by something filling his mouth, that something being a shipping container with strange writing on it. Before he can ponder the weird designs further, the shipping container blows up, sending shrapnel flying, severely damaging it. Stunned momentarily by the pain, it doesn't react in time to dodge the next one, that explodes and embeds more shrapnel into the demon's hide. As this is happening, the real Naruto runs to a warehouse, then onto the roof of the warehouse, as he begins a chain of hand seals. Sasuke, you may have been an arrogant douche, but you really knew your Raiden jutsus. As he goes through hand seals, the clones that he left behind, along with the 6 clones that were placing seal on the metal containers, are busy distracting Leviathan by using the railgun technique to pierce his scales with steel beam, lampposts and any other pole-like metal object they could find. All the while the clones in the cranes are using the cranes and shipping containers as exploding wrecking balls. Naruto finishing up his hand seals, and thanking Kami that the sky is very cloudy tonight. Then again, this is Washington. He mentally remarks, drawing a chuckle from his tenant. Once he finishes, he raises his right hand as it glows with electricity, and the clouds darken and swirl around above him, leaving him in the eye of the storm. A short few seconds later, a large creature made of lightning with glowing red eyes appears high above him. It has a long serpentine body, not unlike Leviathan. Its head is like an eastern dragon with 2 horns on its forehead, and 6 arms. The lighting beast, following the movements of Naruto's hand, climbs into the sky, before shooting back down at high speed towards its sea-born target. Kirin! Naruto shouts, not that anyone can hear him. Hell, he can't even hear himself over the sound of Kirin screeching through the sky. As the ultimate Raiden Jutsu hits its target, lightning arcs across the demon's body, being amplified by both the metal shrapnel and all the items that was used as ammunition for the railgun, along with the water, electrocuting Leviathan. The demon arcs back and roars in pain before falling forward, hitting the ground then stilling. Jumping down as the clouds clear, Naruto walks towards the fallen demon, dispersing his clones along the way. As he gets closer, Leviathan surges forward, trying to bite Naruto in half. Naruto responds to this by jumping high up into the air, about say 60 feet, swapping Gyuki's devil arm for Son Goku's, a bow staff, that is red with gold caps on the end. This is Wukong. Its special ability allows it to change size and weight, while remaining as easy to handle as a common bow staff to Naruto. Naruto brings the enlarged staff down on Leviathan's head, crushing his skull and finally killing him. So why didn't you just blow his head off with perdition and end this quickly instead of wasting an hour? His furry friend asked, wondering why his host didn't just finish this fight immediately. Simple Kurama, that would be boring and lazy. I mean really, a super condensed Bujidama to the face is effective, but it's hell on perdition. I can only use that about 3 times, before it breaks, and I honestly don't feel like sitting around for 5 hours using Hephaestus, trying to put the shattered remains of perdition back together. He explains to his tenant. As the body of Leviathan breaks up into floating embers of blue energy, then condensing and racing towards Naruto. Point taken. The fox agrees, seeing his point. The blue energy starts coalescing into the shape of a spear, with 3 single-edged blades on the end, arranged in a triangle, with blades pointing outward. The handle is sea green, with a relief of a sea serpent going down to the bottom of the spear. The bottom is in the design of Leviathan's head. Settling into a crouch, he swipes his new weapon to the side, lifting some seawater and washing away a small group of scarecrows that showed up trying to scavenge some energy from the recently slain devil. Pointing the spear trident at a straggler, he collects some water from over the side of the dock and focusing it into the space between the 3 blades. Thrusting forward, it fires the condensed ball of water in a line, cut the lesser devil in half. Hey Furball, look, I'm a waterbender, he announces to his friend, laughing in joy at recreating something from one of his favorite shows. Yeah. Whatever kid, let's just get back on track. The fox says, growling in anger at being called Furball. Oh, and don't call me Furball Gaki. The Nine-Tails shouts at his container, giving him a small headache. Not so loud, Fuzzbutt, you'll give me a headache, the blonde says, putting the spear over his shoulder and walking off the dock, away from the shipping distract. Trying to ignore the massive property damage the fight caused, as he sees a warehouse collapse. I'm so not paying for that. was the last thought in his head before the argument between the host and tenant started up again, as he walks to the clock tower and another powerful devil. Walking down a desolate street, Naruto is alert, having spent the last half hour killing demons on his way to the clock tower. Hell prides, lusts, wraths, and soul eaters, dozens of demon of all kinds. Hell, there was even a few. Swoosh, pausing that line of thought to dodge a javelin made of light, jumping backward, he draws his sword and looks around. Looking up, he sees 4 figures that look like angels, with their wings covering them. All but one of them are holding spears of light, and each of them giving off an aura of light. Great, these things, Naruto says in a sarcastic manner. Pointing at them with his blade, he asks, "Why could you bitches have fallen a little harder? You know, to save me the trouble of dealing with you." One of the fallen hurls her spear at Naruto. The previous attacker creates another spear before flying higher into the air. The 2 others break off, moving around to surround the blonde, passing through buildings as they do so. As the light spear reaches Naruto, he swings at it with Lu, somehow hooking the holy energy on the smooth blade. As he spins, following the swing of the blade, the energy remains stable, flowing around the blade, not damaging it or him at all. Completing his impromptu 360, he flicks his wrist, snapping the sword forward, sending the holy light flying back the fallen light elemental that attacked first. "Here, I think this is yours," the half-devil remarks as the arc of holy energy hits its creator, breaking 4 of the 6 wings on its body, showing the hideous face on its torso that was concealed beneath. Man, not only annoying but ugly too. He taunts, running forward, then leaping. He makes it about halfway to his target before 2 spears are thrown from the 2 fallen at his sides. Just a second before they hit, a platform made of magic appears below him that he kicks off of, moving higher, dodging the light spears and the explosion that was caused by the 2 energy weapons colliding. Making another platform behind, he launches forward, kicking off of it. Reaching the fallen, he launches a series of slashes at the demon. Aerial Rave. He calls out the name of the maneuver, before spinning and lashing out with a heel drop, sending the now wingless angel-like demon crashing into the ground, followed shortly by Naruto. Or more precisely, Naruto's blade, that pierces the fiend's heart as the blonde lands immediately after. Sensing one of the fallen behind him, Naruto quickly turns around, keeping only his left hand on his blade. He thrusts his right hand out. He shouts, "Get over here," as a golden chain shoots out of his palm, wrapping around the demon that tried to sneak up behind him. Wrenching it towards himself, as the demon nears, he charges his blade with demonic energy, Dead Spike. He yells out, as the blade slashes forward, cutting through 4 of the 6 wings. Following close behind the blade is the excess energy, taking the shape of a demonic fox head, that hits the light elemental, breaking the last 2 wings and leaving some nasty burns on the face torso, along with knocking it back. As it gets 10 feet away, Ouroboros, Naruto fires another chain after it, this one going through the monster's chest. Yanking on the chain, he pulls the demon back to himself, and throws it into a wall of a building, breaking the wall and burying it under the rubble. I love video games. As the other 2 phase through the walls, and appear back in the street, the blonde looks at them, he rolls his shoulder and says, "And then there were 2. Only to raise an eyebrow in confusion as the one on the left is pulled to the ground by a golden rope. Following with his eyes to where the rope leads, he raises his other eyebrow in shock. Holding the rope is a woman with a sword and shield on her back, black hair going to just below her shoulders in a style that reminds him of Kurenai, wearing a red, white and blue leotard and red high-heeled boots going up to just under her knees, with her face set in a scowl focusing on her captured target. Why is she dressed like she just walked out of a crossover between Baywatch and Captain America? I mean, really, those clothes can't be practical. Watching as she yanks the demon towards herself as she rears back a fist, he can admit to be surprised when the woman's right hook shatters all of the fallen's wings, and punches through the demon's chest. Focused one, the new arrival, the blonde seemingly doesn't notice the other demon charging him from behind, whereas the unknown woman flies toward the distracted blonde in an attempt to save him. Not that it's needed, because once the light elemental gets within 5 feet of him, golden chains burst from the ground and wrap it up. The woman stops, shocked at what happened. She watches in morbid fascination as the chain's serrated edges constrict on the unlucky demon, growing tighter and tighter as the chains break through the wings, and cut the demon into many small pieces. Turning to the nameless female, he walks closer, curiosity shining in his eyes, his head slightly tilted to the side, and a quizzical expression on his face. Stopping a few feet away from the woman and asks, "So, not to be rude or anything, but who are you and why are you here? Not the safest place right now." His questions seem to shake the woman out of her daze, because she answers, "I am Diana, princess of the Amazons." The now named Diana declares, pride in her voice, crossing her arms across her chest, standing straight. "Well, that's nice, you seem a lot nicer than other Amazons I met." The blonde remarks, his mind going to his trip to Nadeshinko village during the war, But that still doesn't tell me why you're here. I don't know, I just felt I had to, something urging me to leave the Mistira. That my help was needed in the man's world. She answers his second question, then follows with a couple of her own. Now that I've answered your questions, I think it's only right if I got to ask some of my own. First of all, who are you? And second, what's going on? Why is this city in chaos? The name's Naruto, nice to meet you, he says, giving a small wave with the hand not holding his blade. And as for what happened here, have you ever heard the term, hell mouth? The blonde asks. No, I don't think I have. What's a hell? She begins to ask, but is cut off by the fallen that Naruto knocked into the building emerging from the rubble it was buried under. Their responses to the charging demon were similar yet still different. Diana prepared for the oncoming attack by drawing her shield and sword, waiting until the fiend was close enough to attack with her blade. Naruto on the other hand. Well. Rar asterisk with a yell of effort, he yanks the wingless fallen towards himself, dispersing the chain as the demon get closer, then proceeding to twist his own body around in a spin kick, sending the fallen upwards into the air. Asterisk harg asterisk creating a new chain, he pulls the demon back to the earth, dispersing the chain like the last, but meeting the wingless fallen, with his blade this time, bisecting it and allowing the two halves to fall to the ground. Shocked at what just occurred, what sorcery was that? The Amazon questions, referring to the chains that appeared out of the blonde's hand. Turning to the beautiful brunette, with a cocky grin on his face he answers, the best kind princess, ninja sorcery. Now are you done playing 20 questions, or are you going to help me clean up this mess? He says, gesturing to the city. Looking around and seeing how damaged the city is, she agrees to help. Wonderful. The half-devil says, a grin stretching across his face, now let's get going, we need to get to the clock tower. X. A short time later, clock tower. X. Whoa. That's a very deep hole. The blonde devil remarks, referring to the deep gouge in the earth between him and the clock tower. Damn, that has to be at least 150 yards. Now how do we get across it? He asks, turning his head towards his traveling companion. Any idea, Diana? Looking around, seeing that the buildings are in various states of decay, she answers, well, I can always just fly us over. Cocking his head, Naruto replies, sure, that's the obvious way. But is it the fun way? This question causes Diana to look at him quizzically. What do you mean, the fun way? Simple, you throw me over the gap, he says, as if it is obvious. Throw you? Are you crazy? Diana asks, or more exactly shouts in shock. Little bit, why? He responds, his voice completely serious. After all, he'd have to be crazy to do half of what he does. The Amazon stares in shocked disbelief at his explanation of throwing him over. So here's how it will work. Step 1. I'll crouch into a small ball. Step 2. You pick me up and hurl me as hard as you can over the gap. Step 3. Profit. How can you profit, Fro? Never mind, I'm not going to throw you to what will most likely be your death. Fine, Killjoy. He relents to her, muttering the last bit under his breath as demonic wings grow from his back, as he begins to fly over the gap. As the shocked Amazon flies beside him, she asks, what? You have wings, why didn't you say so, or even use them to get across? Well, to answer your first question, you didn't ask, he says in a cheeky way, and 2, the other way would have been more fun. Naruto finishes saying, a small grin on his face. Reaching the other side, Naruto lands as his wings disappear. So, why did you bring us here in the first place? Diana asks, an eyebrow cocked in a quizzical way. Well, princess, at the top of this tower is a demon lord, one that is powerful enough to either rip open a gate between here and the demon realm or force some idiots to do it for him. Naruto says, eyeing the surroundings and noting how old they look. The paint appears to be peeling off the walls, as the wooden walls themselves have large holes in them, not from any sort of combat but from age and rot. The tiles on the floor are loose and barely staying in place, as if the glue that holds them has disappeared. The benches in the hallway are rotten and falling apart. The wood looks as if it will turn to dust at the slightest touch, and the metal parts are rusted. Pictures that hang on the walls are bleached beyond recognition. The ones that have fallen to the floor have been trampled, either by demons hunting or by humans seeking a safe haven of some sort. Unfortunately, it appears some people chose the wrong place to hide, as bones litter the hallway and bloodstains cover the floor and walls. I can only hope their deaths were quick, the demon slayer thought. A short time later, the duo reach stairs and make their way up as far as they can go. Or at least as far as Naruto can stand to go. They do so carefully, as the stairs are in just as bad a shape as the rest of the place is. By Kami, I am glad to be out of that death trap, Naruto says, quickly entering the hallway. as he eyes the doorway to the stairwell they just left. It wasn't so bad, Diana replies, not seeing why he was making all the fuss over a few stairs. Naruto gives her a flat look as a crashing sound is heard in the room they just left. Or I could be wrong. The Amazon chuckles nervously. Naruto says nothing as he raises perdition and fires 3 quick shots over his companion's shoulder. Maybe, he finally says, watching as the head of the demonic statue is blown off by the powerful shots from his gun. Be careful. Those things are never alone. No sooner does he say this than does the statue to the right of Diana glow red and raise its blades to decapitate her, only for its attempt to stop short by a right straight from its target, crushing its stone-like body. I don't think I'll ever get over the cool factor of seeing you kill a demon with one punch. Naruto idly stated, holstering his gun and drawing Lu as the blade glows and takes a familiar shape, thinning and gaining length it takes the form the Kusanagi. Orochimaru, you may have been one seriously messed up bastard, but you had a hell of a taste in swords. He thinks, examining the blade in his hand just before he uses it to cut another blade-wielding statue in two. Diana looks strangely at the shape-shifting sword, her mind trying to decide if she should ask about it now or save it until their lives aren't in danger. With another stone-shattering punch she makes her decision and begins making her way through the statue-filled hallway, her blonde ally cutting down any that appear behind them. So where are we heading? The princess asks, using a statue as a club to break 2 others. Up. The blonde replies, quickly slicing one in half with a wind-enhanced slash. If we were going up, why didn't we stay with the stairs? She asks once more, dodging and then countering a strike from one of the demons to her left. 2 reasons. First, they were a death trap, and second, because they only went up like 3 more floors. He answers yet again, this time pausing to parry a surprise strike from behind and then kill the opportunistic fiend. Well, if we had to go to the top, why didn't we just fly? Diana questions, having killed enough to give the rest of the demons pause. Yeah, why didn't you? Kurama seconds the brunette's question. Finding himself also feared by the lesser demons, Naruto takes a moment to think before answering, because everyone has a stupid moment every once in a while. He deadpans while mentally smacking himself. Yeah, you just have more than others, the fox says, taking a chance to insult his friend. Quiet Fuzzy. What do you mean by stupid moment, Naruto? Diana asks, killing a demon that had seemed to overcome its hesitance. Jolted out of his mental conversation, Naruto answers, I mean follow me, then jumps out a window that they're fighting lead them near. X. One broken window later, Diana is floating right beside a bare-chested and winged Naruto with only one question on her mind, what happened to your shirt? Well, 2 questions. Seals. He answers, but only bringing more questions to her mind. What are seals? She asks, trying to get a straight answer from him. Something that I'll tell you about later, Naruto says, refusing to answer further. Okay then, but why did you jump out the window? She asks. It was the quickest way out, he says simply. Diana can't help but think, well, at least I got a straight answer this time. Well, anyway, to the top we go, Naruto shouts, breaking the Amazon from her thoughts. When she refocuses the sword he was wielding was gone, replaced by a pair of long quad-bladed gauntlets. 1. That give him a feeling of death and glow with an otherworldly blue light. Okay, where did those come from? Diana asks, yells in an exasperated manner. Do you really want to know? Naruto questions, his eyes gaining a light that the warrior princess can't quite place. Yes, she says, maybe he'll finally answer something, she hopes. Are you really sure? He asks once more, his voice taking a tone she doesn't recognize. Yes, she says once more, wondering why he is asking a second time. Maybe the knowledge is dangerous. Are you really sure? He asks a third time, a small grin making its way to his face added to his whisker marks it gives him a rather vulpine look. Yes, I am really sure, she answers, starting to lose patience. Are you really real? He is in the middle of adding another, really, when his is cut off by his ally. Yes, I'm sure. Now tell me, she shouts, her patience having run out, having guessed that he would just keep, if she was sure, and adding another, really, each time. Seals. Naruto answers, a large grin on his face. That lasts all of a second before the enraged Amazon charges at him. Thinking fast, he quickly points at the until now unnoticed demons flying around the outside of the clock tower. Hey look, flying stress relief. Turning around, she flies up towards the horde of red flying demons, seeking to unleash the wrath of a pissed-off warrior princess with super strength. And she does so gloriously, striking down demons one after another, so pissed that she doesn't even bother to draw her blade, preferring to unleash her rage barehanded. She flies into the center of the horde, punching and kicking, tearing apart the monsters like they were made of tissue paper. An earth-shattering uppercut causes one to just explode. They're 1 minute and gone the next. She follows it up with a swift elbow to one of the glowing red demons behind her, not enough power to kill it but enough to stun it. Once it's stunned it turns to stone. If she was surprised she didn't sew it, as she quickly grabs the petrified demon, using it as an improved club and spinning around with it, bashing in the transparent head of 5 others before crushing the stone body, killing it. The stress relief beginning to work, she finally remembers her weapons. Drawing her sword and shield, she starts fighting in a way that resembles an experienced Spartan warrior instead of a frenzied berserker, blocking oncoming attacks with her shield before countering with fierce slashes from her sword or parrying blows with her blade, and then crushing the off-balance demon's head with a strong bash from the shield. As this is going on, Naruto is watching from the sidelines, picking off any stray gargoyles that think running away is a smart idea. Not that they could, since the very second that Diana flew into the horde, Naruto created a closed space in the form of a demon barrier to prevent any of the lesser demons from escaping. As he watches his companions systematically slaughter low-class demons, he can't help but think, holy crap, that's hot. Yes, our Naruto is a bit of an Amazon chaser. He gets it from his father. X. Within a few minutes the horde of Demonsis reduced to just 2 or 3 that are quickly dealt with, the barrier having been removed a short time ago. The last one falls to a brutal slash from one of the claw-like weapons Naruto wields. Flying closer to Diana, Naruto says nothing for a moment before, "So, do you feel better now?" he asks, hoping the fight has quelled her temper. Diana just smacks him lightly in the back of the head and says, "Now I do." "Good, I was worried you'd be angrier," Naruto states, lightly rubbing the back of his head. He looks at her, trying to figure out how to say what he wants. "Come on, Naruto, you're a grown man. Just ask her. The worst she can do is say is no." Well, she could be like Sakura. As that probability comes to mind, he shivers slightly, not wanting to be at the end of a pissed-off woman's superpowered punch. Naruto. He snaps back to reality after the second repetition of his name, seeing the beautiful woman waving a hand in front of his face, trying to get his attention. "Huh? What?" he asks dumbly. "What's wrong?" he questions, wondering how long he was out of it while using his sensing ability to scan the area around them. Not finding anything dangerous in the immediate vicinity, he focuses most of his attention on the brunette bombshell talking. "You were out of it for a minute there and you looked to be shivering. Are you okay?" Diana asks, already over the prank, having dealt with such thing before from both sides on Paradise Island, and now just worried for he knew. "Friend." "Yes, friend, if the others could see me now. Making friends with a man." Oh yeah, I'm fine, just a few bad memories." He waves it off, trying to show that he's okay. Although not completely convinced, she lets the matter drop, not seeing this as the best time to talk about past problems. "Okay, if you're sure." "Most definitely." He reaffirms his words with confidence. "Hey, Diana, can I ask you a question?" These words, however, are tinged with nervousness. Not able to understand the rapid change in D minor, she nods her "okay, sure," her voice uncertain. "Awesome." At her words, he brightens up a bit, losing a small bit of his nervousness. "Well, I was thin, no. I was just wondering if you would like to join me for a meal after this?" He finally manages to get out his question, having stumbled over his words at the start. A part of his brain keeps repeating the same mantra over and over in his mind. "Please don't be like Sakura. Please don't be like Sakura." He begs what gods will listen, expecting pain. Shocked, the Amazon princess tries to process the question. Is he to asking court me? I'm flattered, but should I agree? He seems nice. But I'm not sure. Athena, give me wisdom. Her mind confused, not able to decide what to do. Should she go against what she was taught about men since she was a child, or should her turn him down? I'll think about it. She finally manages to say, having decided give him an answer later after this mess is over. Not the best answer he could have received, but also not the worst. Naruto smiles and says, "That's fine. I understand. It was kind of sudden." Giving her a smile and a thumbs up. "It's not a no. And at least she didn't punch me." He reasons in his mind, deciding to change the subject. He points to the top of the tower. "Anyway, there's a powerful demon up there waiting for an ass kicking, so we don't want to be late." A short time later we find the two near the top of the tower, in front of the broken face of the clock. The damage is to the point where one could almost see inside if they had enough light, or strong enough eyes to see in the dark. Looking around, the duo see nothing. Turning to Naruto with a questioning look, Diana asks if he was sure there was a demon here. "Of course I'm sure." Naruto replies, his eyes scanning the area. "Well, I'm at least sure that it was at the top of the tower." Just not where. Its energy was cloaking the entire top of the tower, making it hard to pinpoint its exact location. He admits, still looking for its location. So you know it's here, just not where it's hiding? She asks, wanting to make sure she heard him right. Yep, pretty much. He confirms. So what do we do now? She inquires, also looking alert with her eyes searching the area. Well, we either look for it, and hope we get lucky. Or. He informs her, pausing for a moment after the or. Or what? She questions, while drawing her weapons. Or we draw it to us. He answers, the blades of his gauntlets coming alight with an otherworldly blue fire. How are we going to do that? She asks, relaxing her guard just a bit to look in his direction, wondering how he will draw the demon to them. By playing to my specialty. He trails of at the end there for a moment before a wicked grin comes to his face.
Which is, she looks pointedly at him, wanting him to finish his sentence.
Pissing people off. He declares proudly. Really? She deadpans, her eyebrow cocked and disbelief clear in her voice, and how will angering it benefit us? Watch and find out. After saying this, his posture straightens and he cups his hands in front of his mouth, careful not to cut himself the blades. He takes a deep breath and yells out, Lucy, I'm home. As he does this he pulses his demonic aura in such a way as to show himself as a challenger for the territory. Diana just watches, confused. After about a minute nothing happens, Diana looks back over to Naruto. Are you sure this will work? 100%. Well 80 at least. He admits, perking up a smirk appears on his face, in fact. As he trails off he quickly turns and blocks the swipe of a large scythe with his the right-bladed gauntlet. Looking at the demon wielding it, it looks strange, not so much the form as what it looks to be made of. Its form is simple enough, a large purple-cloaked skeleton, foot-long spikes coming from its shoulders, a rusted crown on its head and bladed legs, with a dark mist floating around it. What it looks to be made of however is strange. It appears to be made out of gears, the bones look to be made of brass and copper, in the hole where eyes should be are two brightly glowing spheres of quartz, within its rib cage there looks to be gears and springs. The joints are tight coils and a quiet ticking sound is heard, if only barely. Lucy, you got some splaining to do. At Naruto's comment the skeleton does nothing other than tilt its head. If a machine could show confusion this one would. Inquiry. Who is Lucy? The clockwork skeleton asks, speaking for the first time, its voice monotone. Well, you are. At least until I think of something else to call you. Naruto is at a disadvantage, not used to dealing with anything so mechanical. Statement. I am not Lucy. I am Kur 06SR573. Designation. Kronos. The newly named, Kronos says, pulling back his weapon. So, Kronos, what are you doing here? Naruto asks, moving his arms down a bit, not really sure how the fight will turn out. Mission statement. Guard the gateway until the creator can pass through. The mechanical demon says, gaining a tighter grip on its weapon. Really? The blonde says, readying himself for a fight. Well, I just figured out a new name for you. Naruto states, his smirk widening. Inquiry. What? The metallic demon questions, seeing the threatening posture, it too readies itself for battle. Scrap metal. Naruto yells as he and Diana charge Kronos, weapons at the ready to cut down the demon. Threat detected. New objective. Remove threat, activation. 0 time. Only for them caught in a large bubble of energy that spreads out from Kronos, covering the entirety of the clock tower as well as a few surrounding buildings. Naruto freaks out, he tries to move but he finds most of his body has slowed down, barely able to move at all, and any movement that he can make are slowed to a crawl. Okay. What the hell is going on? He wonders, looking around the world now looks like the photo negative of everything it was 5 minutes ago. Distracted by this he barely notices what sounds like a chainsaw revving up. He does however notice the large gash that is cut into his chest by the large scythe with a blade that now looks to be moving. Shit. What the hell is going on? Kurama, any ideas? Naruto wonders, sending the question to his inner demon. No idea, kid, it almost as if he somehow slowed down time. The fox answers, racking its mind for what could be happening. Why is this so familiar? Wait. Slowing down time. I think I remember reading that Dante could do something like that. Finally getting an idea he searches his memory for the answer, only to be struck once more, this time in the back nearly getting one of his wings cut off. Fortunately however, the pain jogged his memory. Quicksilver. It was Quicksilver. Damn it, why did it have to be one of the lost techniques? He mentally bemoans his luck before asking Kurama if he remembered anything else about the technique. Only that's less effective against demons with a high output of demonic energy. The fox remarks, not remembering much else. So I just have to increase the amount of demon energy I produce? The blonde clarifies. Pretty much yeah. The kitsune nods within Naruto's mindscape. Easy enough. He thinks, if he wasn't slowed down so much his smile would have instantly turned viscous, as it is his face was moving slowly and just beginning to change demeanor. Oh? Kurama asks, his eyebrow raised. How so? Like this. Devil trigger. As he says this, he transforms. Red runes circling his body explode out, removing the bubble's effect from himself, and rendering him immune to it, for now. With the new weapon, his devil trigger has changed. Instead of a fox skull it looks more feline in nature. His body is also thinner and more flexible. The coloring of his scales are now a dark blue and purple instead of the burnt orange that they were. Now freed Naruto creates a clone of himself to move the frozen Amazon out of the field of battle, due to her being more of a detriment to him in her immobile condition. As he touches her however, he has to dodge a swipe from her sword. Foul beast! What did you do to Naruto? The visibly angry yells, demanding an answer. What the? Oh right, she never saw a boss like this. The clone realizes that its creators and in turn its own new form might have confused their ally. Not wanting to have to deal with more strikes, the clone quickly speaks up. Diana. Relax, it's just me. As soon as he says this, a dawning look of realization flashes across her features. By Hera. She exclaims before pausing, Naruto, is that you? What happened? She asks, wanting to find out why her friend looks the way he does. Well, it's a really long story and a life or death battle is not the time to discuss such things. Also, I'm just a clone. The boss made me to get you out of here. Clone Naruto informs her, trying to pull her out of the fight. What do you mean out of the fight? She asks, affronted that her friend would seek to get her out of the way like a stereotypical damsel in distress. Do not remove me from this fight just because I'm a woman. She states in anger, she thought he was different than that. Trust me, boss isn't trying to get you out of here because you are a woman. He's trying to get you out of here because you quite literally can't fight that thing. The clone Naruto tries to quell her assumption, while still trying to get her to move, having moved on from pulling at her arm to pushing her from behind with both of its hand on her back. What do you mean? The warrior princess asks, looking over her shoulder at the clone and the apparently Sisyphean task it's trying to accomplish. As the clone continues to push, it explains, I mean the pile of junk over there can either stop or radically slow down time in a certain area. Hell, the only reason I can move somewhat normally is because of my devil trigger, otherwise I'd be like you were. Frozen in place. Giving up trying to move her, the clone settles on putting an arm over her shoulder, earning a sideways glance and a raised eyebrow from Diana. Then how am I moving now? She ponders aloud. Best guess I have is that since I'm in this form, anything I'm in contact with is immune to the field's effects as well. The clone explains its theory, drawn a disappointed sigh from Diana. So I'm useless at the moment, huh? I can't fight if we have to remain in contact. Saddened by this realization, she finally relents and allows the clone to move her out of the way. Well, it would move her out of the way if it wanted, but the I have an idea look on its face says otherwise. Turning to drag the clone to a safer place, since it wasn't moving, Diana stops as she hears the words, not exactly. I might have a way that you can fight, but it all depends on one question. With a quizzical look on her face, she asks, and what question is that? Tell me, do you know how to dance? The clone asks, a smirk gracing its features as the princess's eyes gain the light of realization and understanding, and her face loses its confused look. X. A few minutes earlier. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. The original Naruto creates a clone to remove the frozen form of Diana from the fight. Now that she is out of danger, let's really start this fight. He focuses back on his opponent just in time to dodge a flurry of strikes from the chain side. Having dodged, he gets closer to the clockwork demon, sending his own series of strikes in the rib cage, causing a few scratches and tearing away part of the cloak, but other only doing minor damage. Well, this will take a while. Or at least it will with these. He thinks upon seeing the minuscule damage. Falling back, he swaps the claws for a more appropriate weapon. As they disappear in a burst of smoke, a cannibal puffs in front of him from a second smoke cloud and he quickly grabs it. As he does, the devil trigger for changes becoming more insect-like and the color shifting to an olive green shade, as his wings grow larger and stronger. Now then. Batter up. Saying this, he gets into a batting stance, the club held tightly in his right hand as his left in front of it, grasping the air like one would grasp a ball. As he does that, bulbs fall off the club and towards his hand, taking the shape of a baseball-sized sphere. Once it completely forms, only taking a matter of seconds, he throws it up into the air and rears back the club. As soon as the ball gets into the right spot, he brings the club forward in a powerful swing, sending the ball flying. Home run. 2. Yells the demon hunter, watching as the ball flies and seeing it hit its target as Kronos was charging at Naruto. The ball hits with great strength, sent Kronos back roughly 20 ft, and denting its rib cage along with sending many powerful electric shocks throughout its metal body. Once more vertical, Kronos runs a system check to see how bad the damage is. System diagnostic. Damage report. Moderate. Alternating tactics. As those words leave its mouth, it disappears from sight, only to reappear behind our hero to send him flying into one of the clock faces, shattering it and sending the hands and large shards of glass to explode outwards at a high speed, only for them to be frozen in the air soon after due to the effect of the demonic bubble they are in. Turning to its fallen enemy, Kronos holds out one of its arms and it glows a sickly purple and a hole opens in the palm. Statement. This fight is now over. Activate Respira B. It begins to say before it's cut off by a violent axe kick from behind, sending the brass skeleton crashing off the tower and into a building behind it. Just behind where Kronos was both Diana and the clone stand, holding on to each other like dancers would. Now that the pile of junk is out of the picture for a bit, I should get the boss. Don't blink. And then with a burst of smoke the clone is replaced with the original. The disorientated original that's confused as to why he is holding onto Diana. What the? How am I here? Why are you here? The rapid-fire questions spring from his mouth, before he blinks as the clone dispels and he is brought up to speed on its idea. Oh. Well then, if that's what's going on. He trails off before looking into Diana's eyes. So, do you want to dance? Very much so. The Amazon replies. Great, declares the blonde, Beelzebub disappearing and Beowulf taking its place as his form shifts once more, the bones gone altogether, instead replaced by what looks like natural armor that somehow grew in such a way that it resembled shinobi armor. The head rounded and smooth, his coloring has also changed to a burnt orange and obsidian black, with lines of bright white light traveling along lines on his body. Now all that's left is the music, he says, creating a clone without words or seals that quickly places the both of them in a minor unnamed auditory genjutsu, creating music for them to hear and dance to. Music of your choice here. I suggest Clockwork from Castlevania Judgment or Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. The gears go awry. Grasping her hand, Naruto spins her around behind him, just in time for the demon's strike to miss, leaving Kronos open to a powerful spinning heel kick from Diana, stunning him further. Giving Naruto enough time to land a powerful back fist strike in the same spot as he spins to a different position, that combined with Diana's kick creates a large dent in the bronze skull. Gathering its bearings, Kronos sends out a horizontal slice to Diana, only for it to miss as Naruto dips her out of the way. And once he brings her back up, he spins her out towards Kronos, allowing her to execute a super strength powered snap kick to its ribs, shattering most over them. After it lands, she takes the lead a bit and brings Naruto in, only to spin him back out towards Kronos, giving him the chance to strike with a power roundhouse to the one of the arms, bending it inward slightly, as he continues the combo by bringing Diana in and spinning her out once more as she gives the same arm a super powered reverse roundhouse, further bending the arm, bone, and this time rendering it to bent to work. Kronos' crystalline eyes glow before he disappears, only to reappear almost immediately, trying to slice the two dancers in half, the scythe held in its remaining hand. Although the strike fails, it continues, vanishing in a burst of speed and appearing mid-swing only to miss as they perform a different dance technique and using the opening it leaves with each failed attack to punish the brass and bronze demon with powerful counters. Damage critical. Shutdown imminent. The demon's robotic voice states, as it appears a short distance in front of the two. Oh yeah, we kick ass. Naruto cheers, raising both of his and one of Diana's arms in celebration. The nearly dead demon's crystal eyes flash a bright red as its monotone voice is heard once more. New orders received. New objective. Eliminate the devil hunters. Body in critical condition. Success via combat. 7%. Alternate means required. Self-destruct system activated. Estimated zone of destruction. 13.6 miles. Odds of success. 13%. Method deemed acceptable. Well, that don't sound very good, Naruto remarks, raising an eyebrow. Naruto. What did he mean by self-destruct? Diana asks nervously, getting out of his grip but still keeping contact with him, so as to remain immune to the field's effects. Kill it quickly, Naruto says, avoiding the question and dragging the warrior princess into a charge at the demon. They reach the demon and unleash a barrage of attacks. Once the duo's combo is finished, they each grab hold of the scythe with their free hand and start attacking the demon with its own weapon, culminating with a double heel drop by the duo, throwing away the weapon afterward, and sending the barely whole demon hurtling to the ground 10 stories below. Seeing as the time dilation field is still up, they move over to the clock tower. Naruto swaps Beowulf for Gyuki's devil arm, as both he and Diana grab hold of the minute hand of the clock face and prepare to throw it. 1-3, ready. 1, Naruto starts the count, readying his muscles and aiming the throw. 2, contains Diana as her arms tense in anticipation. 3, 3. They shout together, hurling the large clock piece as hard as they can towards the downed demon in hopes of destroying it before it can blow itself up. Silence. They wait with bated breath, not knowing if the next second will bring forth their salvation or their doom. Until finally, the bubble falls. Time returns to normal. The clock tower falls, crashing to the ground, destroying nearby buildings and blasting up a huge cloud of dust. Booyah! We kick ass! Naruto shouts, raising his hands up in celebration. Bring one of Diana's with him. Sorry. He then says, releasing her hand, to rub the back of his head in slight embarrassment as he returns to human form. For what? Diana asks, puzzled by what he could be sorry for. Well, nothing I guess. The blonde replies, not really knowing why he apologized himself. So where to nay? Diana's question is cut short as two balls of multicolored light streak towards them, one going to the half-devil demon hunter, the other coming to a stop in front of them, glowing brighter and changing shape, becoming flatter and wider, gaining length as it take form. Before much more can be seen, the light becomes abundantly brighter. It is as if someone set off a flash bomb directly in front of them. As the light dissipates, and their sense of sight comes back, they see not 5 feet away a very large blade. But not just any blade. This one looks as if it was made by some sort of steampunk mad scientist with the sole purpose of turning a chainsaw into a bastard sword. It's 8 feet long and 2 feet wide, a mix of bronze and brass with teeth going along the front and most of the back of the blade. I say most because of the guard on the back of the blade in case of kickback, staring at the handle and traveling up 3 feet. It is curved like the Kabikirabocho, and just like that blade it has hole in it, but only one. Near the top of the blade there is a half-circle indentation, where a strange cross weapon sits. As Naruto moves to grab the blade, the cross leaps out of it to shoot at Diana. She raises her arms to defend herself with her bracelets, but it is unnecessary as the weapon stops, floating in front of her. She grabs the weapon to examine it, grabbing the cross-shaped handle in the center of the weapon. As she touches it, a strange pulse flows through her. As that happens, the weapon grows from its original size of 1.5 feet to a solid 4. The weapon is a sandy color with green lines marking the length of the blades. The blades themselves are one-sided and end curving back to the previous one. As she looks at it, he identifies the weapon as a chakram, not a very common weapon from Paradise Island, but it was still used frequently to know the basics. Hey cool, you got your own devil arm. So what are you going to call it? Naruto asks after he has finished looking at his own reward. The Amazon ponders for a moment, before a name comes to her as if from nowhere. I'll call it Seaver 3. As she voices the name, new knowledge begins to bombard her mind of the devil arm and the many was to use it. She doubles over, the hand not holding Seaver clutching her head, as she waits for the pain to pass. Oh yeah, forgot to warn you about that. Don't worry, the pain will pass in a moment. The seasoned devil hunter says, his voice and face sheepish. Anything else you forgot? The in pain Amazon grounds out. No, nothing comes to MI. His answer is cut off by a loud booming sound coming from where the body of the fallen demon was meant to lay. As a dome of demonic magic spreads rapidly, apparently we weren't fast enough. Naruto calmly states, watching as the explosion quickly closes in on the duo. How can you be so calm? The Amazon shouts, getting ready to fly away at her top speed, but fearing that with how close the dome is they wouldn't make it. Simple, I have something to save us. The half-devil trails off, raising his right hand next to his head. Yeah, what? Diana asks, having calmed slightly at his words. Quicksilver. He intones, renaming the technique used against them as he snaps his fingers and the world turns into a photo-negative version of itself, time slowing to a crawl and the oncoming wave of destruction along with it, leaving only the two not affected. But, how? She asks, wondering how he recreated their enemy's ability. Questions later. Minimum safe distance now. He shouts, flying away from the stalled explosion as fast as his wings can carry him. Not one to argue with such sound logic, Diana flies after him, easily keeping up with his flight speed. Luckily they made it out of the blast radius before Quicksilver ran out. Unluckily, however, the winds and concussive force created by the large explosion knocked them out of the sky and, for lack of a better term, sent them flying towards the outskirts of town, into a dense part of the woods. Meanwhile, unnoticed by the crashing duo, a black bird flies away from the explosion, not bothered by the heavy winds, and untouched by the path of destruction. It disappears through a dark portal that is created in the sky, its destination unknown. Groans of pain and muttered curses are heard from the two in the crater that was created by their abrupt landing. Holy crap, my everything! The blonde cries out from his side of the crater, causing Diana to groan once more in pain, drawing his attention to the other occupant of the crater. Hey Diana, how you feeling? A painful moan is his only answer as the Amazon turns her head to look towards him. Turning his own head, he cracks a small strained smile as he tries to sit up. Well Diana, I have good news and bad news. Ah. Another groan is heard, this time in a quizzical tone as if to say, really, what? Well. Good news, we landed near another demon lord. The blonde trails off, most of his more serious wounds already healed by the combined effort of his demonic physiology, the incredibly powerful demon in his gut and his own Uzumaki heritage, leaving only minor, but still painful ones. The bad news, however, is how close we landed. A large and demonic growl is heard just as he finishes his sentence, as if to punctuate it. What prey dares enter the domain of Fenrir? A gigantic white wolf growls out, ice-cold mist rolling from between its powerful jaws. We do Fido. Naruto calls out as he climbs out of the crater, speaking mockingly, as if he wasn't talking to a wolf that could make apartment buildings look small. Fido? The humongous Arctic wolf shouts in anger, you morsel dare mock me, Fenrir the slayer of Odin, the son of Loki, the great hunter of the frozen hills. The wolf starts stating its titles as the air gets colder and the trees start to freeze and ice gathers around the great demon's paws. Only to be interrupted by a much smaller half-devil with a cheeky grin, the one who licks his own balls. Insolence, for that I will devour you and your mate. The devil wolf growls, not amused the joke the blonde attempted to play. Smart doggy, you are smarter than a fish. But you got one thing wrong, the blonde says while clapping in a mocking way, she's not my mate. Yet, Naruto corrects, pointing at the still in the crater Diana but adding something in his thoughts. But anyway, since you're such a smart doggy, do you know any tricks? The blonde trails off as he reaches for perdition, while the wolf raises one of its huge paws, like for instance, play dead. A few very important things happened at this moment. First, Fenrir brought its paw down to crush the devil-hunting doe. Second, Naruto's hand reached perdition, grasping the gun and bringing it to bear against the demon lord. Third, Diana groaned in pain once more. Fourth, perdition glowed a dark crimson as it was charged with a potent mixture of demon magic and chakra, supercharging the gun's next shot. And finally, that shot was fired, a humongous beam of energy unleashed by the gun. The runes etched upon it glow as it rattles and shakes in the blonde's hand, cracking in places the strain off firing the incredible shot. Second judgment. The blonde yells, barely heard over the sound of the shot, as it missing the wolf's paw entirely and takes off the demon's head. The light from the beam dissipates, and the now headless body falls to the ground, crushing a few dozen trees in its landing. As he inspects his gun, he can help but think, damn, I was hoping I wouldn't have to do that again. I only have one more shot before it's busted and I don't have the time to repair it right now. He's drawn from his thoughts as the demon's devil arm comes to rest in front of him, twin battle axes bearing wolf-themed designs and coated in ice, creating a clone to take out the small group of demons that showed up at the demon lord's death. He holsters his gun as the clone takes the axes, and he heads back to Diana, letting one final insult slip from his mouth. Looks like his bark was worse than his bite. Hey Diana, are you feeling any better? He asks, as two puffs of smoke appear, the one in front of him revealing a waist-high table, large enough to hold a full-grown adult. The other at his upper thigh reveals a holster, much like a kunai holster, only this one was sea green with lines of blue with the pictures of a slug superimposed over the kanji for 6. Bit. The still in pain Amazon manages to say through gritted teeth. Good, now don't worry, in a few minutes Dr. Naruto will make you all better. He comforts her as he gently picks her up and puts her face down on the cushioned table. Once he does that, he opens the thigh holster and draws a senbon needle that drips with a strange liquid. Now don't worry, it will only hurt for a minute before the pain disappears. Huh? Diana struggles to ask, as she turns her head slightly to see Naruto sticking a needle in her back. Naruto, what in Hera's name are you doing? She screams, not noticing that she doesn't hurt as much and she's speaking easier now. Healing you, now quit wiggling. He informs and requests in an offhand manner as he inserts another needle into her back. Healing me? How? She asks, much calmer this time as she starts feeling the effects. Short answer, medical chakra, acupuncture and a special ability of this devil arm. He answers, once again offhandedly as he is focused on his task. Oh, that's interesting. She comments, not knowing what some of those things are, but still happy for a straight answer. And, done. Naruto slides the last needle in as he says, this finishing the healing process as Diana's body is rejuvenated and her wounds disappear, leaving her sore but still in much better shape than a few minutes ago. The needles vanish as she sits up, as does the table once she places both feet on the ground. Naruto catches the axes thrown at him by the clone just as it dispels, and they are sealed away just like the senbon holster. Stretching to get the soreness out of her muscles, Diana hears Naruto talking, so are you ready to move on? I can feel the last two demons that way. Turning, she sees that he is pointing to one of the mountains in the distance. As ready as I'll ever be, she answers, flying out of the crater Seaver placed on her back with her shield as her sword sits on her waist. Well then, let's go, Naruto says, walking beside her deeper into the forest after climbing out of the crater. X. Once more a black bird flies away unnoticed, this one too disappearing through a black portal to places unknown. What makes this one different, however, is its eyes. Its four glowing red eyes. Coming back, we find our devil hunting duo walking through the woods, the male gushing over his new toy. His toy being an upgraded shotgun that he named Exodus. I love this thing, he shouts as he cradles the demonically enhanced shotgun, rubbing his whiskered cheek against it. I still don't understand why you like that thing so much, Diana admits, slightly disturbed by the amount of affection he is showing over an inanimate object. How can I not? He asks, as he stops rubbing his face against it, bringing it out in a flourish, flipping it with its lever and pointing it one-handed towards a tree branch. Pulling the trigger, a basketball-sized orb energy is fired from the barrel, completely obliterating the demon monkey that was about to leap at them. Now you may be wondering where he got such a weapon. Well, flashback a few minutes ago. Naruto and Diana are walking through the forest, alert to any surprise attacks when they break through a thick wall of bushes and into a clearing. By Hera. The Amazon gasps, unprepared for the horror that she is witnessing. Within the clearing is a campsite, or more accurately the remains of a campsite. Torn up tents splattered with blood, a dying fire, coolers either not open or completely destroyed, and a group of 3 dead, and torn apart by whatever attacked them. If I ever needed a reminder why I hunt devils. The blonde mutters to himself, heading closer to the camp to check for survivors. Looking through the tents and around the area, he doesn't find any other signs of life, but he did however find something else. Well, I didn't find any survivors, but I did find a cool looking gun, Naruto informs Diana as he inspects the lever-action shotgun in his hands. So what are we going to do? Diana asks, wanting to know what the senior devil hunter's plan is. Well, first, I'm going to make some clones to give these poor people a proper burial. Then I'm taking this sweet new shotgun, he says, starting out in a somber tone of voice, then switching to a more happy tone as he imagines what he could do once he upgrades the weapon. Naruto, that's disrespectful to the dead, Diana shouts, her disapproval at stealing from the dead obvious in her voice. Maybe in your culture, but in mine, it's disrespectful not to steal from them, he says, telling her a bit about the lives of ninjas without telling her anything. Besides, they have no further use for it. Not happy, but willing to understand that they don't really need it anymore, she begrudgingly concedes the point. Fine. The blonde nods as he sets aside the gun to make a few clones to bury the dead, acknowledging that she is still a bit uncomfortable with the idea of taking a dead person's weapon. Hell, he was the same way. Well, at least he was before the war, and before some of the more harsh truths of the world were thrust into his face. Okay, now that that's taken care of, time to bring out Hephaestus, he says as the clones start to carry off the bodies. Hephaestus. You can call forth one of the gods, Diana exclaims in surprise, not expecting her companion to summon one of the Olympians. Not exactly, he says as his hands are surrounded in smoke and a popping sound is heard. As the smoke is blown away by the light wind in the clearing, his hands are revealed to be covered in a pair of workman's gloves, solid black with thin tubing running across the surface. Within the tubes there appears to be a liquid that looks a lot like liquid metal. On the back of the gloves covering the rear of the hand is a stylized H. These are Hephaestus, he states, showing the gloves off. After giving Diana a good look at the gloves, Naruto picks the shotgun back up and he activates one of the gloves' abilities, and the metallic liquid flows from the gloves to cover the gun, eventually encasing the gun in a rectangular mold. After a few minutes the mold starts breaking apart before it shatters violently and explodes in a burst of light and energy, revealing a completely changed gun. Whereas before it looked to be just a standard lever-action shotgun, something you could find in just about any old gun shop. Now it's different, sawed off and shortened to just under 1.5 feet long, solid black barrel with lines of a golden metal criss-crossing all the way down to the grip, so that if one saw it from the side it would appear to have 3 golden X's going down the barrel. The lever have remained mostly unchanged, just a bright gold in color. On the grip are pictures. On one side is image of a beautiful female angel, blonde with dusky skin and radiant wings garbed in silk. On the other is a seductive female demon, pitch black hair and pale almost white skin. With bat-like wings she is clothed in dark leather. At the bottom of the grip is a short silver chain, attached to it is a small X, black and gold on one side, black and silver on the other. Okay, this is awesome, he proudly states as he moves the lever. As he does so 6 vents, 3 on each side, open up on the forestock. Once they are open, he starts feeling the natural and demonic energy around him being drawn into the gun, as the golden X's start glowing dimly, becoming brighter each second as more energy is absorbed. Pumping the lever some more, the X's rapidly glow brighter. The more I pump, the faster it draws in energy, he theorizes. Once the golden X's are glowing strong enough to illuminate most of the area, he aims the shotgun towards a random bunch of trees and pulls the trigger. A moment later, there is a 10 by 10 glassed trench going out 30 feet starting at where the trees were. Whistles. Damn, he says in amazement, I'm going to call you Exodus, because you will make anything leave this world. Diana was unresponsive at the destruction, a shocked look stuck on her face. Flashback over. Fine, the weapon is impressive. The Amazon finally admits, but must you treat it in such a way? Diana asks, a bit disturbed by the fact that he's treating it like one would treat a child or favored pet. Looking away from handheld death cannon, Naruto simply states, yes. Before elaborating, the changes I made with Hephaestus are only temporary. Well, at least until I have enough time and materials to make them permanent, and I want to enjoy it as much as possible until it times out. You've made your point. I can understand why you would favor that weapon so much if you only have a short time to use it. But must you act so carefree? Diana asks, slightly exasperated. Not losing his smile, Naruto stops walking as he turns to face her. Say, Diana, the Amazons are a warrior people, right? He asks as he leans against a tree. Surprised by the question, she stops walking and looks at him stangly. Yes. Why? She answers, not knowing where exactly he was going with this. Nodding, he continues, and do you have medics? Still slightly confused, she answers, some of my sisters do take the path of healers, yes. Not you? He questions. Shaking her head, no, I wasn't suited for the healing arts, Diana explains. Same here, however my godmother was a medic. The best we had actually, so she taught me a few things. He closes his eyes and tilts his head back as he reminisces on fonder times. One of the most important things she taught me was how a medic must act. Opening his eyes, he looks at Diana. She said one of the most important things for a healer to know is that, no matter how you feel, you never let them see you sweat. Stepping forward, he continues, it doesn't matter if you are tired or hungry, if you are stressed beyond belief, or if you just want to curl up and cry. Naruto looks at her with a fire in his eyes. When you are on duty or with a patient, you have to at the very least look like you are the absolute best, the one in control and in peak condition. Looking at her with a smirk, he asks, so, do you think I learned that lesson well? Staring at the man whose posture shows only confidence, and whose voice carries certainty, yes. I do believe she taught you well. The Amazon says with a swift nod, and, I'm sorry for doubting you. It's fine, not many get that and think I'm making light of everything. He says, trying to get rid of her worries. Besides, it's not the first time I went through something like this. Naruto remarks, some pain finding its way into his mirthful tone. An air of uncomfortable silence falls over the duo as they make their way towards the two large signatures of demonic energy. X, 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 X base of the mountain. 20 minutes later, X. Breaking through the tree line, the two demon hunters walk into a large clearing surrounding the base of the mountain, maybe half a mile between the trees and the rocky outcropping of the start of the mountain. Looking around, they take notice of the large boulders in the area, along with many other stones of various sizes. So, devil hunters, you've finally arrived. An arrogant yet feminine voice calls out from nowhere, cause the two to snap to attention. Naruto cocking Exodus and scanning the surroundings while Diana draws Seaver as she eyes the boulders, believing their foe is hidden behind one of them. No, no, up here. The same voice says, drawing their attention upwards to the source. A woman covered by a dark feather-like cloak and strange metallic helmet, floating in the air. Okay. Who are you? Naruto questions, pointing his new weapon at the floating figure. The figure chuckles. Me? She asks rhetorically. I am Raven, daughter of Trigon and his blackbird of terror. She proclaims, raising her arms to her sides as her cloak opens to reveal her gray skin. And you are my prey. Quite presumptuous of you, thinking that you alone could kill both of us. Naruto taunts as he tightens his grip on Exodus. A dark smirk crosses Raven's face. Oh, whoever said I was alone? The sorceress asks as she snaps her fingers. As soon as she does, this part of the mountain begins to shake and rumble. The dark stone appears to fall from the cliff face. As the rocks hit the ground, they start moving, taking the shape of a large beast made of hundreds if not thousands of large stones. As the demon stands, it reveals its true form. A large lion, easily 12 stories tall, with a mane of jagged stone and glowing yellow eyes. Looking at the giant stone cat, Naruto can't help but comment, I really should have kept my mouth shut. Nemean. The witch calls out, gaining the stone monster's attention. Kill them. She orders, pointing at the two devil hunters. Naruto, any ideas? Diana asks as she hurls her weapon at the great stone beast, watching as it bounces off, not leaving any marks. Firing his gun at the lion and watching it barely scorch the rocks that make up the creature's body, the blonde devil hunter answers as he starts trying to put more distance between him and the rapidly approaching demon. Not at the moment, no, well, nothing that doesn't involve running away anyway. The Nemean lion pounces as it closes in on the two of them, forcing them to dodge lest they be crushed, rounding on Naruto as it did damage did, as minuscule as it may be but damage now the less. The great demon bares its fangs at the blonde in a powerful roar, causing Naruto to have to channel chakra to his feet or be blown away. Well shit. He deadpans, jumping back to dodge the demon's claw that was sent to crush him, and tilting his body in such a way to avoid the small jagged rock launch from the ground as shrapnel by the lion's attack. Meanwhile, as Naruto is doing his best to dodge the demon's frontal strikes, Diana was trying to avoid being crushed or skewered by the monster's huge spiked tail as it lashing about in a frenzy. After ducking the tail once more, she quickly grabs hold of the large appendage. Careful not to impale herself, she strengthens her grip on it and pulls with all her might, spinning on her heels. She then sends the lion flying away from the two of them to give themselves a short bit of time to breath. Nice job, that should buy us a few. Naruto started to say before being engulfed within a shroud of darkness and vanishing from the area, much to the confusion and concern of Amazonian ally. Seconds. Crap. The blonde finished lamely, taking a look around the new area after his forced relocation. Mountain top. Well, I can't say you don't have a sense of atmosphere, and his comment was quickly silenced, however, by the rather large boulders attempting to render him into a fine red paste. Well, that was just rude. Didn't your parents teach you that it was impolite to interrupt? My father taught me how to kill those foolish enough to stand against him, Raven stated coldly, levitating more boulders for the next barrage. When then, I suppose it's time to see just how good a student you were. The demon hunter remarked as a set of silver wings attached to a demonic-looking backpack appeared upon him. Meanwhile, at the base of the mountain, Naruto. Diana exclaimed in shock, seeing the shinobi vanish in a pool of darkness before her very eyes. Moving toward the spot to investigate, she rapidly flies upwards as the spot she was occupying just a few seconds ago is rendered into a crater by the pounce of the gigantic stone feline, which then turns to face her, preparing itself for another leap. Sorry Naruto, looks like you're going to be on your own for a bit. The warrior princess thought, bracing herself for a long and difficult fight. Thanks for watch here.